What's up, intelligent people? It's me, your boy Pat.
What's going on? This is Dig.
This is Watu.
Wait a minute. Did anybody else hear that mess up, like, technically, or was that just me?
It was just
Well,
you.
my
Yeah.
well, my name is Morris, and my phone might be the slow one. Welcome to 4 Degrees of Black, everybody. Um, y'all know we always have something going on with the intros. So, after such a heated and exciting show on last week, we're back, and we're all smiling even. Um, but we always have something that we talk about, and the activism has not stopped. So before we get to our main topic, we're going to talk about the activism, and not so much just in America, but the activism that's around the world. I saw today on the internet a person of Asian descent, had a poster, and they said, "Our black brothers and sisters' lives matter. We need to all join and stand behind them in their fight." What are some of the other things that you guys have seen as far as activism has been concerned with other groups in our fight as well? D, what about you? Start with you.
I mean, I've seen pictures from, I think I saw one from Palestine. I think I've seen one from somewhere in South America. I mean, they've been going around. So,
Watu, what about you? What groups have you seen? Maybe some that have surprised you, maybe some that didn't surprise you, but when it
Uh,
comes to the activism.
I've seen or heard of schools of medicine talking about. I think it's opened up a discussion greater than just police brutality and racism within that. A medical group or medical school which was talking about racism and bias within the medical field, and they were planning a die-in today. But then I've also heard some of the, based on people protesting, some problematic things of white people in particular or other minorities trying to co-opt the movement.
Pat, now what I like about you, Pat, is you work on a campus, right? You work with students.
Yeah.
Some may be traditional, some may be non-traditional. But on your campus, what have you seen when it comes to activism concerning this situation?
Well,
Remember,
no.
you have nothing to say.
All right. Well, actually, it's been a divide. Um, One of the white instructors came in, and I think I said something about it on Facebook. One of the white instructors went into his classroom, and he teaches English. He went into the classroom, and I don't know how the topic came up, um, but he basically agreed with what obviously the police officer did and the actions of the police officer. He stood behind the police officer, and the white students in the classroom agree with it as well. Then the black students didn't agree with it. It was a mess. So a lot of them walk out of the classroom, and the first person they come to is me because I'm not, I teach psychology and sociology on the campus, and I teach the most of it. We have other
Are
sociology.
you also the angry black man on campus?
Well, no, not really. It was funny because one of the others called me out of all people a militant. Can you believe it? But anyway, I guess it just depends on where I'm at and which hat I'm wearing. Anyway, so they all came together, whatever the case may be, because like I said, I'm the main instructor as far as when it comes to psychology and sociology. Anyway, so we had to get the campus director involved, the education director involved, as far as my boss, because he wasn't supposed to be talking about this particular topic in his classroom. Now,
Oh, okay.
the issue that they had was because this particular instructor does Civil War reenactments. He
So he was asking for his butt to get beat.
Right. So even on Halloween, for the Halloween party, he dressed up as a Civil War reenactor, and he wasn't wearing the Yankee uniform. Right.
Was he wearing his KKK hood?
Well, he didn't have on the hood, but he should have had it on that day. But anyway, so it was just a divide. So right now on campus, on next Thursday, before class lets out, we're having a like a panel. It's gonna be me and two other instructors, and then the student body, and we're gonna actually discuss.
That should be very interesting. Now, I got one more question in our pre-conversation.
Can I interrupt?
The
Can I
NBA
interrupt
has
real
been
quick?
visibly. You sure can, Sunshine. Go ahead. How you
Nothing.
doing?
I feel like this crazy echo on your end. I just want to make sure if it's not funny.
I
didn't
don't
hear
hear
the
it.
question.
Do we hear
Yeah,
an echo?
yeah.
Maybe it's on the expensive computers or phones, because mine isn't doing it.
All right, I'm sorry. I'll do. Keep going.
All right, so the NBA has been visibly active in their support with the activists wearing their "I Can't Breathe" shirts. Not that the NFL has it. We saw the St. Louis Rams come up, a few of their African American players with their hands in the air in the "don't shoot" kind of way or whatever. Now, there are people who we have not heard from. For lack of better terms, I'm going to say wiggers. And my best friend and I were in conversation today. He said we ain't heard from Oprah. And he said one of the reasons he thinks we haven't heard from Oprah is for two reasons. One, she's not relevant. And two, her base is not African American solely. That's what he said. I'm not saying that's what I agree with. I'm just saying that's what he said.
That make me
I would like to know from you guys, who haven't you heard from that maybe you think we should have heard from? And I'm going to start with you, Watsu, on this one. Who haven't we heard from that somebody should have raised a voice about this?
Outside of people who have a direct impact, as far as like people of stature who have a direct impact, like politicians, presidents.
It doesn't matter. Whoever you think.
No, no.
Is that what you're saying? Oh, that's what you're saying. Okay, I got you.
If you don't have a direct impact as far as like making change happen, then I could really care less about your opinion. I'm not going to look to a celebrity for assurance in what I believe or feel about a situation.
Pat?
I don't know. I guess I kind of agree with Wow on this one. I don't see what Oprah has to do with the situation, or any celebrity, to be honest with you.
What do we have to do with the situation? I mean, it's all about activism. What they're asking is, there could be voices that are lended to this fight, and that's what they're saying. Whose voice would help this fight? Not that you need that voice, but it would.
I'm just saying that I'm not the person that needs to hear what a celebrity thinks about the situation. Now, as far as Oprah, we know Oprah is an activist in the community. She's been an activist for a very long time. I can't say that she don't follow. I mean, she hasn't said anything about Ferguson or any of the situations because I don't follow Oprah. So I wouldn't know if she said anything or not, to be honest with you. So,
D, who is there anybody that you think can and hasn't, or should and hasn't?
Jackson didn't say nothing, and Whitney didn't either.
I personally think you might be batting 1,000 on this one because I actually agree with Pat and Walker.
And what's amazing is when my best friend and I were having this conversation this morning about people who should and shouldn't join the fight, if you will. I think we are batting 1,000 on this. I don't know the effectiveness of Beyonce saying something about this and somebody else not saying something about this. I think the people are doing a great job on their own, standing their ground, making their voice heard and their displeasure. about the decisions that these grand juries have made.
I
In fact, I think it's better. I think it's better that they're not doing it because it shows that it's not a fad. I think that if a celebrity or somebody got into it, it may actually taint what's going on.
Well, depending on the celebrity that you're talking about, because if you listen to people like Most Def or Talib Kweli and all of those people, they've been talking about the same issue for years, so it's not anything new for them.
Right.
Okay. Well, let's just ready to move to the conversation for the evening, and I'm super excited about this topic. The topic for tonight is the Obama plight. Do you like him? Do you not like him?
Can I start?
And this is not on a personal. Wait, I want to finish talking about the topic, please. All right, so
I want to get mine out of the way because
yeah, you already know what it's gonna give.
I know where
But
it's going, and I ain't got time.
well, and here we go. Not do you like him personally, because I don't think you can hold anybody against it personally. I don't know, but we'll hear from you guys in a second. But as president of the United States, for these 6 years that he's been in office, do you agree? Not even do you agree? Do you think that he's brought things to the public? Do you think he was a great communicator, as a executor doing his job? What are your thoughts on him? And then after that, maybe we can talk about what he's done for different communities as we see it. Pat, you have already volunteered to start this conversation off, since you ain't got nothing to say.
Okay.
Go ahead and say what you ain't got nothing to say about.
First of all, like I told y'all pre-show,
First,
Obama is the best black president we've ever had. Let me just make that clear. You cannot contest that. Okay?
better than Clinton? He better than Clinton?
He's better than Clinton. He's the best fucking black president we've ever had. And nobody can take that away from him. Now, with that being said, this is in my opinion.
The person who's speaking, you.
I mean, and I know Fox News over there is going to contest everything that I say, and I welcome that. But in my opinion, the unemployment rate has went down. It hasn't went down in all communities. It's because in the black community, it's still high as hell. It's still higher than the national average, but nationally, it has went down. In my opinion, he's done the job that he could do given the circumstances he's been put in. I don't think that he's brought the adhesiveness or cohesiveness that he said he was going to bring. So, amongst the parties, which does make it amongst the races, but hey, it is what it is. And yeah, but in my opinion, I think he did a good job. I say that biasly because I haven't been one of the ones that was affected by a lot of stuff that people had been affected by. So my opinion is biased. So I'll put that out.
D, the Republican of the group. Let's see what you have to say. I thought it was going to be silent. I was going to say, that's the real shade.
We all know that I don't agree with the man's policies. I mean, it is what it is, and...
But as a leader, how do you think he's done as a leader? Maybe not an agreement with him, but as a leader, do you think he's been a good leader then?
No.
No. All right, and I guess that's all you really have to say.
I mean,
Why two?
I mean, because this could really go on forever. Like, no, put it to you like this. I'll stay away from everything else and just go on to what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
The thought that, or at least the image that he put forth, was that he was going to be, and I got to ignore this echo, so let me turn this down, but the thought that he was going to be this great uniter, this is what he put forth. And part of being a leader is even when you disagree with people, you have to find ways to work with them. You can't run off and say, well, if you're not going to do it, then I'm going to do it myself. That's not how you do it in terms of a constitutional construct. And it's not across just one issue. It's across many issues. And like I said, I don't want to get all deep into all that, but
no, I mean, and some stuff we'll go a little bit further in. But
wait, I have to turn you up. I can't hear you.
Well, what we will do is we probably go deep a little bit because some of what you're going to share may help some people a little later. But why too? I want to call you an independent of tonight. Not Republican's leadership, and since he's been in office, what's your take on things?
I don't know. It's weird because at first I was drinking the Kool-Aid, and then I started to read. As far as a leader, he's okay. He's like any other politician, a walking hypocrite, full of hypocrisy. But
I don't know if it's just me, but our sound quality is horrible.
Yeah,
no, it's horrible. It is horrible. I think either like something's going on in the air, like it's a really slow connection or something. Maybe I don't know.
Do you want to do this over?
No. I like this conversation though, and the energy, even though it's giving what it's giving. I say go with it.
Okay. Yeah, he's just done things and said things, and like it's like you can't say one thing for one situation and then do something different for another situation, and the two are related. I just can't with him. Like I just can't. But we as black people, we just he's like Beyonce. He's like the Beyonce of politics. You can't say anything bad about him with black people. You just can't. That's where you stand.
Yeah.
All right. So
the best black president we ever had. What about you, Mo? What's your opinion?
I have a couple of things that I want to say. As a communicator, I think he has communicated well as a communicator to the people. I think about what D said. I think about what D said when he says you can't run every time something don't go your way. And one of the things that I think about, and I put it in comparison with, is if something didn't go his way, then he went to the people and said, well, hey guys, this is what I tried to do. And then he went in front of the American people and said what he tried to do and that it wasn't agreed upon. That may be two different instances. That may be not even what D may be have referencing, but that's just how I see it when D says you can't run away and then when things don't go your way. And I kind of disagree with that because if the people who you are representing, who you're supposed to speak for, if you put something out and people don't agree with it, then I would say, well, I try to put this forward. They don't agree with it. So if you really want it, then you need to write into them and then you need to make it something. When it comes to communicating with different age groups, I think that he has been innovative. I think, though, what we have learned as a society and what we have learned as black people, no matter what side of the fence you're on, is we can say that this man has been heavily disrespected, which has made his job extremely hard and also made it hard for people to, it's also made it hard for people to keep their trust, their faith in him. And I think that's been unfair. I also think that we have seen since his presidency either things in the past they have let the president get away with or things that the president really wasn't in control over. Because they have tried to stop and block him on many, many ways. To me, more than others. When some similar situations have went forward with other presidents, they have maybe not done some things or maybe pointed them out. Not that anything was done so much differently than it was. His was just a little bit more scrutinized. It was under the watch more. And I don't know if that's because he's president or because he's black. Do I agree with everything that he's done? No, not everything. But I do think that he's worked more in the favor of the people. He's tried anyway, in my opinion. At least the people who I like to call Americans. He's worked more in their favor than the favor of some other Americans who have been in control more. So that's just, I think he's, on a scale from 1 to 5 as a leader, I give him a 3.8. All right. So D, I see you make some faces. I want to get into these faces that you was making and what you thinking, because and remember, we're going to agree to disagree, not because you're Republican and I'm semi-Democrat, but because that's just what we do on this show. So what were your faces, especially when I mentioned some of the things that other presidents have done that he has done similar to, and he has gotten more scrutiny out of it?
Well, since you brought it up, why don't you give an example?
Let's talk about response time to Ebola. When his response time was, I think, maybe a couple of days, 2 to 3 days, and it was such a huge and enormous thing that, they went in on him. As opposed to President Bush's response to Katrina, it was, it didn't get the slack that he got from the people that he got it from. Kanye said what he said, but who's Kanye when it comes down to the political process? So I'm just using one of many things. So let's talk about that then. That's my one example.
I don't understand the correlation that you're trying to make with them. So,
what my correlation is.
This man is eating on camera.
I am. Some M&M peanuts, by the way. When the president has wanted to take time to think about the answers and the response that he wants to give to a situation and or problem that he's handling for the United States, or wants to even convey to the United States, he picks up slack, as opposed to if he used the same amount of time that President Bush used. And that's why I used the Ebola and the Katrina thing, because it was about the same amount of days that they went before they responded.
The Ebola issue really didn't have to do with Obama's response time. The issue that a lot of people had, I got to turn this down again. The issue that people had with Obama and the Ebola situation is that, we could send all kinds of help to West Africa in order to, help, as they were saying in the White House, to kind of stop it over there. But it didn't make sense to us to basically have not close the borders off to these other countries to allow people to come, to come here, either directly or through other countries. You can, your visa has your passport has your origin of, where you're starting from and where you're trying to go. So you can put in place steps to stop people from coming in there. It's almost like a no-fly zone, just to make sure. That was really the issue with the Ebola thing. In terms of, and I mean, Watu could attest to it, I could attest to it, having lived in D.C. for some time. Whenever a president goes anywhere, shit shuts down. And not shuts down like for the 2 seconds that he's actually passing by. And actually, Morris, you can attest to this too, having lived in D.C. They will shut down streets for like 25, 30 minutes. When you have like a disaster zone, as Katrina was, that's why he said he didn't land. I wasn't on Air Force One. That's what the man said he did. Hey. But when I say the correlation that you were trying to make between Katrina and Ebola, I think they're two separate situations.
And so when I made those, I said their response times to America, not how they handled the situation, their response times to America. And what
do you mean?
So when President Bush addressed America about Katrina, when President Obama addressed America about Ebola, that's what I'm speaking about. how they were criticizing Obama. Oh, he took 72 hours before he got in front of the nation and said something. I'm not saying before he made a decision on what to do as far as closing down borders and anything else. That's whatever. That's why I use something lightly when it came to comparing the presidents. They wanted to compare him with his response time, something as simple as that. Another thing, the disrespect level that the Republicans have shown has made it hard for him to reach across the aisle and be this person that he wanted to be during his campaign speeches. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
I don't.
He clearly don't agree with it. Hell, he's a fucking Republican.
But when somebody calls you a lie in the middle of the State of the Union address on national television,
When somebody makes a full-on movie talking about they're going to burn you in effigy and how to assassinate the President of the United States, the President Bush.
a sitting member of Congress did that? A sitting member of Congress.
I said when somebody makes a movie.
And I said a sitting member of Congress. Did a sitting member of Congress do that?
And no, it wasn't a sitting member of Congress. But at the end of the day,
that's what I'm saying. Because every president is going to have their haters and the people who even act stupid. I'm not above that. What I'm saying is the disrespect from sitting elected officials to the highest man of the free world has never been so high before Barack Obama has gotten in office. And you can't battle that. You show me when and where, and I'll shut up for the rest of the conversation.
Do you know some of the things that were said to talk about Thomas Jefferson when he was president, even John Adams? Like this idea that this is the worst, this partisanship is the worst now than it's ever been in the history of this country is bullshit.
I didn't say partisan. No. The disrespect of the president. Now I understand that. I understand the divide. I get with that. The disrespect of that man's office has never been higher than what it is right now.
And I disagree with you. That's not true.
Okay, then let's move to the next topic because we can go on and on about that. So, do you think what will be? Let's ask this, and I'll start with you. What would you think the president's legacy will be? And I know we still have 2 years to go, so it may be something traumatic that happens in the next 2 years. But if his presidency ended today, what would President Obama's legacy be as far as you see it?
The lack of transparency.
The lack of transparency. What too?
His legacy would be the health care bill that I'm not necessarily a fan of.
Well, it's not. Well, his legacy would be the fact that he was the first black president. I mean, let's just be real. Let's be real.
That too.
I think immediately that his legacy is going to be two things that you guys said. One, being the first black president, and two, the Affordable Health Care Act. But I think that there are going to be some things that we're going to see later, as I think that George Bush had some great things in office that we weren't able to see, and President Obama has pointed them out. This happened and was approved under George Bush's leadership, and it's just not taking effect. I think that's for every president, some things that we just don't see for some time, and I'm hoping personally, other than Obamacare, that there's going to be a greater legacy that we just didn't see.
But Obamacare wasn't his. It started under the Bush administration. It's the Health Care Act for a reason, but it's not like it's Obama's.
What started under the Bush administration?
The Health Care Act.
That's what I was saying. Forget him, dude.
No, it didn't. The first time that they ever tried to do a national healthcare system was back in Clinton, back in '93 or '94 when they tried to.
But this
particular, they tried to do it back in the '90s.
That was in the '90s. Under Clinton.
That was under Clinton, right? That started. That started before Bush.
Okay. It's not. But it's not Obamacare. It's called a Health Care Act. It's not Obamacare. Just because it came out
He's the one that ran around saying it's Obamacare.
Wait. Let's get it correct. The Republicans coined it Obamacare. It was the Affordable Health Care Act. As Pat was saying now, it was coined the Affordable Health Care Act appropriately. And what the Republicans did was call it Obamacare to scare people or make people feel uncomfortable.
And Obama sat there and said, "Oh, you know, we'll call it Obamacare because I'm trying to help the people." Blah 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 blah.
He owned it. He owned it.
Of course, yes, he owned it.
He owned it.
But I mean, that's like sitting there saying like Dodd-Frank is, you know, the house name for Dodd-Frank is like HR 30457. I mean, yes, it has an official name that actually goes on the books. They're not going to put it on the books as Obamacare. But when they did coin it, just like they coined Hillary Care in the 90s,
it helped out a lot of people, and you know, it is what it is.
He's not going to be able to run away from it.
It helped out a lot of people, and it is what it is. If you didn't eat it, don't use it.
Final question. Final question for the night, guys. Will Obama help or hurt the next Democrat? D, go ahead. Get it in. Will Obama help or hurt the next presidential candidate that is a Democrat, in your opinion?
They'll probably have to sink or swim on it.
Okay. Watu?
I can't say right now. I mean, if we were talking about currently, right now, no, he wouldn't be a help to the next Democrat.
Pat?
Well, what I found... You asked me? I'm sorry. I can't hear you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What I found interesting during the midterm, the Democrats didn't want to be associated with Obama. And one of the main I guess fighting points of Republicans was that they were attacking the Democrats, saying that they were so Obama, so to speak, as if Obama was this bad fucking person. But like I've been telling people this whole time, if you can sit your ass in office and say Obama didn't do shit, what the hell did you do? Not a fucking thing. Because if he couldn't get anything done, that means you couldn't get anything done either. While you sitting around pointing fingers. What did you get done? What did you do? Nothing. The same thing he did, because there was no unity. So when he said he was going to call his executive order, whatever the case may be, Republicans basically got mad. What surprised me is how in the hell does one say that for the next 2 years, you know, once they get in office or whatever, for the next 2 years, they're going to sit around and not do their fucking job because they don't like a coworker. That's the shit that I don't understand. Now, on top of that, when you look at whatever this is, to answer the question, I don't think that he himself is going to hurt the future Democrat. In my opinion, the Republicans are going to do just what the Republicans are going to do, and they're going to rebel against Obama, who have done less executive orders than the last 3 or 4 presidents. But what's going to happen is, when he
not the number of executive orders, it's the context of the executive orders.
I can't hear you.
I said it's not the number or the count of executive orders, it's the substance of those orders.
I apologize, but seriously, something is wrong with.
He said it's not the number. It's not the number of executive orders, but it's the content and context of the executive orders.
But that's what happened. That's what you do. That's what leaders do when you can't get along. A leader takes charge and they do what needs to be done. Period.
That's not why we have separation of powers.
But at the same time, it's not like he was acting outside of the Constitution. He has that right for a reason.
He was acting out. Whatever. Go ahead.
What he did wasn't unlawful. It's not like he went against the law and did something he wasn't supposed to do.
Okay.
But anyways, in my opinion, no. But you know, at the same time, this hey, what do I know? I'm an elitist.
You know why too? You elite people. I will say this. I think that if the next Democrat who does win the primary does not stand in agreement with President Obama, even though he's going to be the outgoing president, it shows weakness in the Democratic Party. And my problem is not with the outgoing president or the ingoing president, but as a party to stand together. Now, I will say this. McCain didn't necessarily agree with Bush, but I don't know how far he separated himself when it came to Bush. When it was time for him to run for office, I didn't pay that much attention to McCain because he wasn't my choice, and he wasn't the lesser of two evils. I just didn't care about McCain. I think that it would be smart for our party, the Democratic Party, because that's who I'm with today, for them to, stand together as a united front. Anybody who doesn't, we've seen what happens when the Democrats don't stand together and support their president. You lose. And if you lose, we lose.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and do our outros unless y'all got something else to say. We'll see them next week.
This was short.
You wanted it to be longer? You want to have another conversation?
No, I'm just saying it's short and the sound isn't that great.
I think something's just going on with Google.
Yeah, because there's a really, really bad echo.
And my name is Morris. Thanks so much for tuning in to 4 Degrees of Black, everybody. We're going to see y'all on next week. Well, hopefully the sound is better. All right? Peace.
Deuces.
Bye.
Let's still say